Hey guys, this is Matt Galuzzo with Galuzzo Reviews, coming at you with another video. And this is a very random video, but I think it's worth talking about this film. And this film is the 1997 action comedy thriller film Metro, starring Eddie Murphy. Now, about a year ago, I did an Eddie Murphy marathon on my page, Galuzzo Reviews. You can check that out. And this is one of the films of his I watched and I reviewed. And I really enjoy this film. I really enjoy Eddie Murphy. That's why I did a marathon of many of his films. And this is one of his best movies, in my opinion. And that's one reason I wanted to talk about this movie for a minute. Another reason is there are hardly any reviews of this on YouTube. I think there's only maybe one or two other people that have ever reviewed this on YouTube, because I looked this up on YouTube to see reviews, and there's only, I think, one or two other people that have ever made a video talking about Metro. So I thought, yeah, it's a random movie, but hey, it's a movie maybe people haven't heard of, haven't seen, and, I can be one of the few people out there to actually talk about this movie, and not only talk about it, but in a positive way, because a lot of critics at the time did not like this, and it didn't do well at the box office, so I'm guessing that fans and moviegoers didn't like it or didn't care to see it. But it has some good reviews. Judging from this DVD case, they say Murphy is funnier than ever. One critic says that. Roger Ebert gave it 2 thumbs up. Chicago Tribune says Eddie Murphy's back in top form. So there's a few positive reviews on this. I mean, it's out of context. It could be a snippet of a negative review, but I agree with the comments on here. And basically at this time, Eddie Murphy had a string of bombs throughout the early and mid-90s. He had some films that were not doing well. He was on a hot streak in the 80s. He had 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, Coming to America, The Golden Child. And I think most of those were pretty successful. And I like all those movies. Then starting in the 90s, he had some that did not do well, such as Boomerang, The Distinguished Gentleman, this movie Vampire in Brooklyn, and Beverly Hills Cop 3 also, and that didn't do well, and that is the weakest of the series. So then he had The Nutty Professor, which was one of his biggest hits. That was in 1996, and that's one of my favorites of his. And so based on that, he was kind of like on a hot streak again. He had his first hit in a while. So this was his follow-up to that, 1997. And that's why, I don't know why it didn't do well. He was back, like, in the public eye, back in his hot streak. So I really don't understand why this didn't do well. It is a callback to his 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop type of action comedy, police type movie, where he's a wisecracking, fast-talking guy with a real edge to him, who always has, something to say in the right situation. He plays a hostage negotiator here, which that's a good role for him. So I don't know if people just didn't care about seeing it, or they were just getting tired of him doing this type of movie. Because after this, he did a string of family films, Dr. Dolittle, the Shrek movies, and other stuff. This is really his last movie like this, R-rated, with an attitude, where he gets to swear a lot, which that's, so what he was best at. He hasn't had a movie like that in a while. Eddie Murphy hasn't even done a movie in years. So that's why I just wanted to talk about this movie for a little bit, because I think it's worth checking out. I don't think it's dated. There's nothing about it to really be dated. There's no CGI. It's not sci-fi. The action is pretty basic. Car chases. There's a cable car chase because it's in San Francisco. Couple shootouts. The finale is pretty intense. His girlfriend's tied up by the bad guy on this buzzsaw, and if she moves, she'll die from the buzzsaw. And Eddie's there trying to help her, and his buddy's there as a sniper. And he fights the bad guy. The bad guy's truck crashes, blows up in this huge explosion. So the action is pretty decent in this. The comedy's pretty funny. He's always got some rapid-fire dialogue, as usual, which is what he's best at. But at the same time, he's also he gets some serious moments and some good moments of drama. There's an awesome scene where the bad guy, halfway through the movie, the bad guy gets caught. And the bad guy's like threatening him and saying he's going to do stuff to his girlfriend. And earlier in the movie, he killed Eddie's partner, and Eddie just lets loose in that scene. He's like telling him, don't mess with him. And yeah, he really gets into the role. He's not just wisecracking. He gets some serious moments too, which I appreciated. He gets to be more of an action hero than usual. Beverly Hills Cop 3, he was trying to do that, but that movie just had no energy, and it wasn't that funny. This is funnier. And that movie just seemed like a lazy sequel. This also helps that this is not a sequel, and it never had a sequel. It's a one-off movie. It's one movie. So this is better than Beverly Hills Cop 3. He was trying to do that same thing there. He pulls it off better here. And speaking of the villain that I mentioned earlier, the villain in this is very awesome. He's intimidating. He's menacing. He has a voice, a very hoarse, kind of menacing bad guy voice. He's an actor, Michael Wincott. He played the villain in The Crow, which in The Crow he was also the same way. Here, even more so. There's even a scene in here he tells Eddie, with the scene when Eddie's threatening him. Eddie says something along the lines of, you don't want to fuck with me, whatever, and the bad guy says, I don't give a fuck about anyone or anything. And when you have a bad guy like that, that's a pretty good bad guy. Because, yeah, there's nothing you can really do to mess with him. So, and then he's a hostage negotiator, which there's two scenes of that, the opening and then in the middle of the movie, where he tries to talk down this main bad guy but fails. And it moves at a good pace. There's scenes where he's more serious when needed. There's scenes when he's talking to his partner or talking to his girlfriend where he's got some funny lines. There's a part where he gets a new vehicle because at the beginning his car gets destroyed and he's at the police impound getting the car, and he's walking over to this fancy car and the guy tells him, no, this is the car, and it's like this piece of crap red truck, and Eddie Murphy's like, no, this car here, this black car, this is my ride. And they're like, no, this is your ride. And he's like, come on, man. So stuff like that. It's like a funny, Just the way he says it is funny. But I would honestly put this up there, like Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, The Nutty Professor, and honestly, probably this is my third favorite Eddie Murphy movie. It's in my top 5 for sure. 48 Hours, Coming to America, The Golden Child. It's just, I don't know why it didn't do well. I really don't. It has action, it has comedy, it has Eddie being Eddie, having that edge, having the, harsh language that he's known for, having the constant one-liners, but also showing some acting range, being dramatic when needed. The action is definitely decent. It's as good as anything else from 1997. And like I said, there's not much about it that's dated. It's not a movie about technology. It's not a sci-fi movie. There's nothing CGI. The explosions are real. The car crashes and stuff are real. So it has good action, rapid fire humor and one-liners from Eddie, as well as a good performance from Eddie, being more of an action hero at times. Great villain. Totally great villain, bad guy. Good supporting cast. Moves at a good pace. It's entertaining. And yeah, it's nothing special for this genre, but it's just as good as any, like I said, stuff from 1997 or the late 90s. It's just as good to me as any other action comedy of the late 90s. Whether it's anything with Martin Lawrence, anything with Chris Tucker, anything else Eddie's done, like Beverly Hills Cop, I think this is on the level of any of those. So I just don't understand why this movie didn't do well. And no one ever talks about it. Like I said, even here on YouTube, there's like 1 or 2 other people that have reviewed this. And if you look up other movies, there are like, you can keep scrolling down. There's like infinite reviews on stuff. So, whether you like Eddie Murphy or not, whether you have seen this or not, I just thought it was worth checking out. Worth talking about, because very few people on here have, and it's just something that I watched again the other day. In addition to when I did the Eddie Murphy marathon, I also reviewed this, and I pretty much said most of the points I said here. I just wanted to bring this movie to people's attention. I don't know if it's on Netflix or any streaming sites or anything, but if it is on a streaming site and you see it, definitely check it out. It's worth 2 hours of your time, especially because Eddie Murphy isn't doing anything nowadays anyway, so why not go back through some of his older movies. So that is Metro, 1997 Eddie Murphy movie. Worth checking out if you're a fan of him or if you're a fan of movies like this. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another video soon. Don't know if it'll be random like this or maybe a review of something new. But either way, take care, and we'll see you later.